Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is how it looks like when I'm limbing with you. So I want to go over a couple of positive things that I see in the classroom. You continue to positively narrate the kids. You celebrate their moments when there is celebrations, because that's how we get the kids encouraged to be able to perform for us, right? To be able to do what we ask of them. So I want to say thank you for continuing to acknowledge that students learn at different rates and they learn at different paces. You positively narrate that. I think that we should continue to do that, and we should do more of it, and do more of it in specialized ways, right, with the students, because that's the way we're going to close the achievement gaps. And then I wanted to say thank you for having your exemplar in hand. Okay, so I did see that.
Thank you.
This week, I think that when we came in and observed as a team, you were like scrambling to look for it, but I knew you had it somewhere.
Yeah.
I knew that you had it somewhere. So just keep it close to you. And then, so you had those things, and then you creating the illusion of speed, right? So a math class should always be like, real fast, right? So they create the urgency, so the students are like, I can't catch up, let me catch up, right? And you see that, right? The response has been really, really good in the classroom. So I want to say kudos to you for doing all the things and the action steps that we've set forth for you. You're doing great things. So
appreciate it.
Okay. All right. So I want to turn attention to our last limb. So what was one of the action steps that I had asked you to do from our last limb?
Our last limb.
What was the action
I don't know if I remember off the top of my head.
I'll give you a few minutes. Yeah.
I think the last one, my big thing was lesson planning. So
what was the action step that I had asked you to do as your coach?
I'm guessing it was probably something to do with scripting in more of those. They're not CFUs, but like the questions found in the TIG teacher guide.
Yeah. So then
trying to utilize those.
Yes, trying to utilize the checking for understandings in the places where they fit in that are connected to the lesson components, right? So I asked you to go back through our lesson internalization criteria, which is the 8 ones, and to be able to produce a more thorough lesson internalization component. So that's what I'm looking forward to tonight or tomorrow when you get a chance to turn them in.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So talk to me about because when we walked in the regional walks, also I noticed that you didn't have your lesson plan up outside. Talk to me about that.
I just would fall. I haven't gotten a bad habit of not doing that.
Okay.
I feel like it's that simple. Also, I think there was, I don't know if shame or embarrassment's the right word, but after my dog did pass away and I kind of went through that blunder, like of not having lesson plans in on time, they weren't really up to par. And it's not like I didn't want to put up blanks either, because I think that low-key looks worse, putting up things that are blank. So that's my perspective on it all. So now that I feel like I'm kind of getting back on my feet, I feel like I can try to do a better job at that. Yeah, I think it's also still hard just because sometimes even when I have an idea, like I might have that exemplar outside, but like when I get through the lesson, like what I'm actually getting through at high quality might also look different than what's out there.
And do you think that for us it's okay, like if it looks different, we walk into the space and it looks different, and it's however,
I think that's definitely okay. I just, like I said, it's bad, but I don't like the idea of just putting something blank up there. So that's kind of what fell behind.
It's kind of like the way you want students to be like, you always tell a blank answer is a what?
It's the worst.
Yeah,
like tell me something that's wrong.
Yeah.
Show me something that's wrong before it's blank. So.
Yeah, the blank answer is a wrong answer, right? So I totally understand that, but I'd rather have something that like you internalized this week that I saw in the Camino Drive. That's fine.
Okay.
Put it up there,
Okay.
You were aligned to the curriculum. You were doing Carnegie curriculum. So, and if we walk into the space and we don't see that, but we can track your progress through the lesson plans that you have outside the door, then you're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will say too, because I am like, this is my first year teaching algebra. It was cool to get that feedback, because it definitely made it easier to teach that idea using the point slope. Point slope
one, yeah.
Because I was like, because the way I solved it was the exemplars that they had, like the students look at. There are 2 students that you could choose. And I was like, oh, this one's easier to me than the other one, so I chose that one to like try to also explain to the students.
So you've broken that plane where we're going to talk about how you feel the lesson went, right?
Okay.
So let's go back to yesterday or the day before? Yesterday?
I think it was yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah, let's go. Okay. How did you feel the lesson went? And then the feedback that I gave you as far as the STAR reference sheet, how did that, talk to me about that?
I think the biggest thing that I took away from yesterday was the CFS. Because my thing was, like I said, I was having them solve it by setting the slope equal to the y2 minus y1 over x2 over x1. And that was not the most efficient way, I believe, to solve it. So using the point slope formula was much more beneficial. Yeah.
And talked about the pivot that you make when I gave you the feedback right after.
I just feel like I implemented it and I took it in and then it was effective. Because I think students will do better with it. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like they were also able to, I think once I changed based on the feedback that I was given, I think students felt like they had more access.
Okay.
And when I feel like they have more access, they actually try more.
Good.
Because like the first time, that first class when I was modeling, I'm not gonna lie, right? It felt like I was kind of rambling at times, and it felt kind of long because there were a lot of steps. But at some point, I feel like I lost them. Then making that shift was more like, it's actually much more simple. Boom, here's your slope. You plug that in for your slope. You have your point. Here's your point, and then you just solve.
Okay.
Right? So it made the steps much more simpler, and I think it was an easier task for students to achieve. Kind of like the idea of you can't eat an elephant in one big bite.
Okay. So talk to me about when you talked about how you were able to pivot with using the point slope formula on the reference sheet. How did anything happen in the classes that you went throughout the day as far as like the academic vocabulary? Because I hear you, like today when I stepped into the space, I hear you talking about dilation. I hear you talking about, you talked about transformation a little bit. So talk to me about how are you getting students to own the academic vocabulary?
Yeah, it's definitely a place where I'm like, oh, can we use our STAR reference sheet? Sometimes I'll ask them like, what is the point slope formula? And like some of them, you know, they kind of know it, but other ones are like, they have no idea. And so then I'll like hint, maybe look at your STAR reference sheet. So like, I think they're starting to get used to using that as like a resource, right? And that's nice.
So what do you feel could be a strategy that they could own the actual academic vocabulary? Like they can say like, you know what, sir, and you actually did it today. So they can own describing a graph that shows a dilation, or a graph that shows a transformation, or a graph that has shown a shift, right?
How can they own that?
Yeah, how do they own that?
I think
that specifically the academic vocabulary.
I think they need to have a strong model, and then they need good at bats, and then having the keywords up there so that they can reference the keywords. And it's like, if they say something that describes it, like pushing them to use that academic vocab. Yeah, it's still interesting, again, like learning this as my first year too, just because sometimes I feel like I am starting to really understand the vocab and use the vocab a lot, but it's like the vocab, like translation or dilation, like they'll say that, but then when they actually are describing what's happening, they use different words. So I find that also interesting. So I'm trying to make sure I'm using both the words, right? So like today, translations, a key word that's often used with translations is shift. Is it shifted up or down? Another keyword that's associated with dilation is factor. So making sure they understand what factor means, like that's multiplying. So it's stuff like making sure I'm just also, I guess what I'm getting at now is like using not just one word, like the words that they're going to see that are reference to that as well more often. And my own speech helps them too.
And what is the ultimate goal? Like if when you're in the concept development of the Carnegie Learning, right? And you're the one saying all the words, how do we transfer? How do we get them to?
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part because to me, then it comes down to pacing. Because it's like, if I'm going to truly meet them where they're at, which I'm like, I'm cool with, I'll meet them where they're at. But where they're at is not where Carnegie expects them to be at. So I think that's a thing that I struggle with, right?
Okay, so then think about what they're doing in their independent work, right? Let's say you've asked them to graph something on Desmo, right? What is a checking for understanding that you can give them that they can actually own the vocabulary and say, you know what, this is a dilation, sir. So what is something that you ask them when they're actually graphing the equation?
I guess I would ask them, like, what are we factoring it by? How are we shifting it? Something like that.
Okay, so that keyword is something we want them to say. So then what is it checking for understanding that you can ask a question that you can ask them?
What's happening? Yeah, it gets back to me giving them too much. I can keep it I always forget I can keep it super basic. What do you notice? What do you wonder?
What do you notice? What do you wonder? Okay, so you see that?
That's funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
So see how it all comes back to the what is notice, the wonder? Because when I walk in here, you're doing amazing things, but I still see that you're doing the majority of the thinking for them, Mr. Bonner. So we have to get them, like we have to start, it has to process somewhere here in the tools that I have in my brain. How do I get them to own that academic?
Yeah.
How do I get them to tell me what actually happened in the graph? Do you know what I'm saying? Because they hear you saying it in the concept development. You've hit it. Okay. And then it's time for them to be like explaining to you.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay.
I just needed like a big, fat sticky note that says, "What do you notice? What do you wonder?" for everything I do.
I'm gonna carry.
But I could still just do that one strong model. But then after that,
yes.
After that,
they have to start owning it. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they have to start owning it, right? And then, like in the space that we were here, and I asked you to shift, and then you said you kind of felt. I felt like you kind of felt like, okay, I need you to help me check one. I can shift, but I need you to help me. Trust the process. You need to trust
What shift?
In the space that we were here with the regional, said have them do and I told you, I said have them do the next one on their own.
Yeah.
Remember that moment?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a little bit of like okay, but you know, I felt it was okay, but you have to trust it. You have to trust it.
No, and I guess, because I would voice this too, and I think it's fair. It's just like, what do, I guess? Because I find conflict between myself and doing the job well. It's like, what does the productive struggle look like, right? Because that's one of my SPED colleges. So am I just totally sitting back doing nothing, or am I checking in with those who are like maybe need help? Like, who do I get to help? Do I not help any of them? How do I help? I think those are some of my more questions. It's like, okay, I'm letting them do it by themselves, but when I see, you know, for example, Kaylee right there just sitting there like this, it's like,
so
what do I do then?
Yeah, so with one of those things, right, you can say like, okay, I've already modeled not one, I've modeled two, right? And essentially we want to get to, you model a strong one and then they do one, right? Like kind of like what we asked you to do this week. But you can do a lap as compliance, right? So the
first one.
Yeah, first one is compliance. Just get started, right?
And not even put on the board. Just that's for me to own.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a compliance lab. We call it a compliance lab.
Procedure.
And that procedure can take 10 to 15 minutes. So right now I'm gonna walk in this 10 to 15 seconds, excuse me, and then you're gonna walk around. I'm just checking to see if you've already written the equation. Okay, that's all I'm checking for right now. Okay. All right, and then you announce, okay, as I'm coming around, right? It kind of sounds like
as I'm walking around looking for.
It sounds like which criteria?
Ooh, 6, is that your last?
Yeah, that's your 6. So you then now you've started to name your observable 3 to 5 look for, right? So as I'm coming around, now I'm actually looking for procedural step number 1. What are you doing with this?
Okay.
Okay. And
That's fair.
that's how you build. Like you build their capacity that way by just.
So I do need to let them go more. My second thing then is, because I think, again, I feel the pressure of time sometimes.
And we're going to talk about that today because I brought your lessons today, and we're going to look at the readiness teaks that are focused on your exam for next week, on the student exams, and how we can set up. Because I pulled up the, here it is, like, where is it? Did I give it to you or no? I have it. I pulled up the skills practice. Yeah, here it is.
Yeah, those are almost the most important things.
Yeah,
but we
so
don't
the
get to
skills
use those
practice,
much.
So, and I also printed the item analysis for the readiness teaks, and we're gonna go through those and plan a solid review for them to see which questions that, because I clicked on the WAG, they want us to use the skills practice, right, to get them ready for all the review on Tuesday, right?
We come back Tuesday.
Yes.
And then
they have a review.
They have a review.
And then they have the test. Yeah. So what I want us to do is go through these, but not before I stamp what is the takeaway from our conversation right now about how they own the academic vocabulary before we move into this.
Just not giving them too much. What do you notice? What do you wonder?
And how do you do that?
Just ask them.
Okay. When?
That's a good question. Because I feel like sometimes, like when I've gotten observed a couple times, I feel like sometimes I've seen when y'all kind of help out that question's asked before you release them. But I guess I don't know when. I would say for me, if I'm doing my strong model correctly, I would be asking, that's like a good think aloud is like, okay, what do I notice? And I would ask myself that. And then I want them just to be listening to that same question.
Okay.
So then hopefully when they're doing it on their own, they're asking themselves that in their own head, like, what do you notice? What do you wonder? And then maybe, I guess I could maybe say it again before their independent practice.
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
But
and
yeah.
you can actually do it right after your first solid model. You can just do that. You know, you can say, like, what are some keywords that we talked about, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and what's missing over there too.
Some keywords.
Yeah, some keywords, right? So the academic vocabulary, they can't own it unless they know which words to use up there.
Yeah.
Right. So, and you
gotta
can
update
ask them
that.
like right after the strong model and let them do the independent. You're like, what are you noticing about the graph? What are the 2 keywords that we talked about today?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you can ask them that. What are your notices? What are you wondering? And the sentence stem can be provided on, I noticed that the graph is dilated. I noticed that the graph was transformed by a negative 4, right? And when they can describe it and they say, well, what does that graph show you? It shows you that it shifted down.
Okay.
Okay? So a little bit more of that.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Questions about that? You got this.
No, I know. I just,
Yeah.
you know, like, I think even when y'all came in and observed me, which was cool because I do like to learn, I think one thing that I've struggled with throughout the curriculum, I think we're going to talk about a little bit, but is like they had one question to learn how to do that. So like the other 2 that
The tables?
I
Yeah.
know that I added, I added those 2 other
Yeah.
like,
Oh, the one where I asked you to pivot?
yeah,
Yeah.
I created that question.
Yeah, I
They
saw
also had a third question that I created because it's like, at the end of the day, they do just need more practice, which I think we're norming on, but I need to let them have that full practice on their own, which is going to be hopefully the shift.
Yeah. And own
The learning,
and own which part of the learning?
conceptual,
Conceptual, which includes what?
keywords.
The keywords and academic vocabulary.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's transition ourselves and go into our lesson internalization. I printed out the.
I have what mine too.
Okay, good. So I
Is
actually
it-
printed out the test.
It changed.
It did?
Oh, you printed it from Luminate. It might have.
Yes.
That one might be right.
Okay. So then here I made you a copy, and this is my copy right here. We're going to go through each question. And then right now we're going to identify the questions where you feel is going to be the productive struggle.
What do you
Okay.
mean by that?
For each. So there's a.
They're all going to be a productive struggle.
Okay, so then anticipating, right, the
Okay.
biggest misconception of the question, right? Because that's the one that we're going to anticipate to spiral in immediately in the warm up the day after we're all done testing. Okay, so I want you to take a few minutes. Take a few minutes, go through them, and then circle.
This one,
Okay,
because I've thought about this one.
okay,
Because we've just not had many practice at all with domain and range.
okay. And I can tell you, okay, you tell me where do you feel the biggest misconceptions, and I want you to write it right here. So I'm going to write my
The
misconception.
biggest misconception.
with this question.
Being totally honest right now, I don't even think they're going to understand it.
Okay.
I think they're going to pick a guess. My goal, so I guess we can get to a misconception. Is it true or not? Different question. But I think the biggest misconception would be thinking range is X values. That's where I'm thinking the biggest misconception is. They'll
Okay,
switch
so
up.
then we're still on the vocabulary of domain and range.
Misconception, they'll think that range is X values and domain is Y values.
Okay.
I think that's
Okay.
the...
What else do you think that they'll struggle? Because I can tell you from this question already, it's not only just going to be that struggle right there. What else do you think?
I mean, like I said, a lot, so I don't... I mean, being able to put it into an equation, right?
Okay. So that could be one. So this could be our first one right here. Number 2 would be developing.
Yeah, I have one thing up there, slope keywords. I want them to realize, right, when they see per,
Okay. And then what is the third thing that you feel they could probably run into?
I mean, they have to understand their input values. Oh, inequalities.
The inequalities. Okay. So then go ahead and write that so that I have domain and range. I have developing an equation. And then number 3, I can tell you that historically they struggle with this.
So how do people teach them that?
What do you think the biggest struggle is with the inequality?
They don't understand which one's larger or smaller.
Okay.
Sorry.
So then write that right there. So the misconception with this one is going to be that they don't know which one means
Don't know what sign is
what sign.
is greater than or less than.
There you go.
Yeah, but how would I teach that?
Okay. So then, good thing you asked, because look at what I brought here. Look at what I brought. Yeah, I brought not the field guides. What do you think I always tap into?
Lead forward?
The lead forward. Okay. So then right now we're limiting because we are going to plan a solid review, right? This is what I want us to do based on the backwards planning, right? So, okay, number 2, keep going. Number 3, we good?
If they can set up a proportion, but they've not had any practice.
Okay, so then this
To
is...
me, they need to practice with all of
Okay.
these questions.
So
And
then-
I just want to name right now, before the test, they're not going to get the practice they need.
Okay, but we can give them a solid review for success on Tuesday.
I mean, it's 10 questions.
Yeah, so
So
that's what I'm
how-
saying.
how would
we-
that look like,
How
though?
will we leverage? So that's what we're going through. We're going to leverage the ones that you feel that we know.
Almost all of them.
Okay, let's try and pick out about.
Okay.
Okay, let's try and pick out
Okay.
about a handful for right now.
Okay.
Okay, so then number 3.
Number 3, this was a proportion.
I think this one's a quick hit.
So you have to
Actually,
have 8/96.
that's a quick hit.
Yeah, it shouldn't take too long.
It shouldn't take too long. Okay, so then that's doable. Okay, boom. Okay.
X over
Yep.
168.
They can do that.
This one shouldn't be too long either.
Okay, good. All
They
right.
just need a couple of examples. Like whenever it's horizontal, slope is 0.
Yep, and this is actually
They can
on,
graph it in Desmos
I think
too.
it's in one of the skill practices. Yes, they can. Yeah, and it's one of the skill practices. Okay. All right. So then we got this one. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Question 5.
I also think this is a quick hit, by the way. Just plug in that for X.
Okay, gotcha. You got this, Bunner?
No, I'm confident.
okay. Okay. Number 5.
One extra review day. Number 5. Number 5.
That's what you were doing today.
We haven't talked about this one at all, no.
Okay.
Because I think it's coming up in the next lessons, because the translation is inside the parentheses. So,
Okay,
but it
gotcha.
it's kind of tied to the same idea in point slope. So I've been telling them in point slope it's the opposite, right? So if it's +1, it's actually really X is -1. So it's actually going to the left. So it's just the opposite.
Okay.
But it's that keying in on the fact that it's in the
Okay.
parentheses.
So then we can anticipate this one's probably going to take us a little bit longer, right? So about maybe
Yes, this one.
6 to 8 minutes.
Yeah.
10 at the max. Right. Yes.
Yes.
Because I was timing to you today, and when you were talking about that, it took us about that long.
Yeah, no, today,
Yeah.
but today I felt was very clear. This one should be clear.
Okay.
It's just, I really want them to try. Sorry.
Okay.
I want them to do well.
But you are. Question 6. Table.
They did one of these today even.
Okay.
So,
We're good?
and that's how the answer is going to be written. I was a little nervous.
Yes.
I thought they were going
That's
to have to.
exactly why I printed the test out today.
Okay.
I was like, oh, let's get
So
this.
they just need to they need to know that the rate of change is equal to your slope. And I've been trying to use that word interchangeably. So hopefully that's a quick hit.
Okay, good. What about number 7? Same thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. All right. Number 8.
Wait. Ella is selling the table. Write a function. Oh, they have to write the whole equation.
Yes.
So this is slope. All right, this
Defining
is
the
equation.
slope of this
Yeah.
equation.
I was like, what's the difference here? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, they did
All right.
make
Number
sense.
8. What is the equation of slope-intercept form of a line that crosses the x-axis?
This one's going to be hard.
Okay.
This is the one that I think we talked about earlier too, that you
Okay.
said they're really going to struggle with, that I thought was simple. And that's the negative reciprocal. So positive 3/2.
Okay. Oh, that's right. We did talk about that.
Yep.
Yeah, we did talk
And
about
I feel
that.
like that's simple, but math, I like math.
Okay.
This one is what we did when you observed me the other day. So I think they maybe just need to see another 1 or 2 examples.
Okay. Okay, good. And then question 10. Write an equation in point slope. They can use their reference sheet, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think my big concern here is them identifying the slope. So
then how are you going to facilitate this?
that's where I'm maybe going to lean on you too right now, because
Okay.
I haven't seen the star questions forever, right? It's really easy to me whenever your intervals are changing by one, which this one is. But I don't want to say they always will be, because not everyone catches if the intervals
Right.
skip randomly.
So
I almost feel like it's better to choose 2 points.
yes. Good.
Right.
Yes.
So
okay. Yeah. So you're going to
hopefully-
ask them to choose 2 points.
Hopefully a Y and X intercept too, because usually those are
Yes.
solid points.
Good.
They're not always, but
Good. Okay. And then they're going to take the ordered pair, and then they're going to plug it into
the table,
The table.
which will give them their slope,
Yes.
and then they just have to use one of the points they already used.
yes. Okay.
So it shouldn't be too hard.
Okay. Good. All right. Good. All right. Question 11. What is the slope of a line represented by this one? What do they have to do here?
This one, we had a couple of days where we did this, and they first have to identify that it's standard form. And so then when it's standard form, to find our x-intercept, we plug in 0
Yes.
for y,
Yeah. You're going to plug in.
and then they plug in 0 for...
And remember that the steps can be procedural. So, okay, what's the first thing? Number 1, let y equal to.
Oh, yes, y equal to 0.
Yeah.
Plug in
they
0
said-
for
yeah,
y.
Plug in 0 for y. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
and then
y,
solve,
yeah.
and then plug in 0. Yeah.
So if you have
When we did
those-
this one, that was my CFS. It was
Yes.
find the x-intercept. I said find the x-intercept, and then the next, I had like a sub-bullet point. It was plug in 0 for y.
Yeah.
Find
And
the
it's
y-intercept.
okay.
plug in
It's
0 for
okay
x.
if they see it number 1, step 1, number 2, step 3, like that.
I can start to
Yes.
number the
Start doing
CFS.
it like that, and then tell me.
Just put it in the order.
Yes, put in the order, and then tell me what the reaction is of the kids when
They're gonna know exactly what to do. Yes, that's an easy fix.
You're saying it. You're stamping that, so I can tell you by experience. If you give them the steps like that, they're gonna know what to do.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So then, okay, high priorities here.
This one, yeah, we need to do
Yes,
something
number
for
8.
that.
Okay. So then we're gonna go over to the skills practice because that is what's on the WAG. Let me give you this. There you go.
And that's what I was gonna do with my review. I was gonna cut and paste from the skill
Yes.
practice.
So we're gonna take the skill practice, and we've looked at the test. We're gonna look to see which ones are aligned that can help us get the biggest bang for our buck and close achievement gaps for our students. And then we're gonna identify which ones we're gonna do for the review. Okay. So here we go. Good. On the back.
None of them.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, if we're being in very line to
No,
what they
I
have to
know.
do,
I
okay.
totally get it. I totally. This is exactly why we're doing. Use point slope form to write an equation.
Any of these.
Any of these. So then we're writing any of these.
I guess
okay?
I'm curious too, though. Their slope is a fraction, I think. So I definitely make sure I include one with the slope as a
So
fraction.
change
though.
it. Yeah, change it.
So
change it
one of
to
these has a fraction
right there.
here.
Okay. So then we're gonna do.
Maybe just 1 and 3.
Okay, 1 and 3. Great. Awesome. Okay, let's keep going. Use point slope interform and employ right equation.
This is perfect because this is the one that we talked about
Yes.
where they had to use their x and y
Okay,
intercept.
Yeah. So which one?
So just 2 again.
2 again. Okay.
Just
awesome.
doesn't matter.
Awesome. Okay. Keep going.
None of these.
Did we look at this? Oh.
Oh.
we didn't look at this. Right. My bad. Right here. Write a
Right-
linear
oh yeah,
equation.
a table.
Table.
We can do 2 and 5.
2 and 5. Okay. You're keeping this. I'm giving this to you.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 and 5. Okay.
Graph each equation. I don't think they have to do any of these on the test.
No, there's not
Oh.
graph. There's a graph and match.
There's not a graph
Okay,
match, which
so
there
then-
should be. Sorry.
Yeah, because it's what you've been doing lately, right? Yeah. So
But
there's
it's
no
also,
graph and
I
match.
hope we come to it later, not just during.
You will.
Not just during a crescendo.
You will.
Um,
Okay. So there's no graph and match.
I don't think there's any graph
Okay.
and
Good.
match.
Graph and match. But you can include one if you have the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
There's
graph
no-
and match.
Identify the slope and y-intercept. There is one question where they have to identify the y-intercept, but they don't have to do all this. I feel like it's more like they need something like this and just like, what is that y value? That's the level of y-intercept that they're asking. Which is fair, because that's the very
Could
basic.
one of these still help them?
Let me see something. A florist sells. I just don't like that there's 2 variables in them. If it was one, like, because you know how we talked about that other question being a high priority, where it's y equals 25x plus 100. It was like the first one, like where it had the word per.
Per.
A question like that we could utilize for the y-intercept and that.
Okay. Then.
So I don't
that
think
would be
this one. Yeah.
Okay.
I
So
don't,
let's keep going.
I don't think that one's the best.
Write an equation.
Right here. for each house.
Okay,
So something
good.
like question 3.
Question 3, good. Could they get another additional practice?
Yeah, I might have to add one. I don't know
Yeah,
if
so
they,
then this one, or
but it needs, again,
there's another one that says each week there.
you add, and this gives them, oh yeah, this gives them a point. I don't know if they're going to get that one though, but we can maybe circle it for now and talk about it later.
Okay. What about this one? Because this one has high school
It's
soccer.
just the fact that there's 2 variables.
Okay.
So 4x,
then-
8y, yeah.
Okay. All right.
This is, again, it's giving you the slope, right? He saves a week, but then it's also giving you a point. I don't know how we have to write the equation. Does it have to be point slope or no slope intercept?
Slope intercept, yeah.
So then they'd have to convert standard form into.
Yeah.
That's why this one might even be kind of annoying.
Okay.
That's why I think this one's
Okay,
perfect.
so we'll stick with this one. All right, keep going.
And we might come through another one.
Making sense. Use each equation to graph to determine input and output values.
This is their first question.
So yeah.
Yeah. They just need one of these because it's just practicing putting in that value for the
Okay.
x.
Then number 1 is good. Or number 2.
Which one looks like quote unquote the most normal? Maybe
Yeah, number 3 is good.
3. Because we talked about fx and g of x a lot.
Okay. What about this one? Can you talk about, like, when you see a graph, can you incorporate what you wanted to hit on? Which is what?
But I think that's the same exact question. Well, the answer is the same as the test. That's the only concern.
And it's okay because it's in the skills practice. So don't be afraid to use it.
Okay.
Okay?
I've
Don't be
heard.
afraid. It's in this. They put this in the WAG, right? And it's aligned to the actual assessment. We're gonna do it because you're.
I don't think it's the exact linear function either.
Okay.
So even more. It's still a different equation.
Okay. So then you're gonna hit on what?
My y-intercept.
Your y-intercept,
And
which is what you wanted to hit
The
on.
one thing too, I've seen students made a mistake is when I've given this as an exit ticket, they've written y equals in the. They just need to get the value, and it's not an ordered pair.
Right.
It's just what is your b value?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. What about this side?
Sorry, this is actually very helpful. I appreciate this.
Yeah. Use the
You-
graph to determine when f of x equals 4 and the value of f of is 4.
So when x is 4, what is -2? I mean, this is not that helpful for what they have to do.
Okay.
Solve
Over
it.
here.
They don't have anything about
Direct variation. Okay.
The only connection that I was trying to, because I know y'all came in, is there that one day about this?
It's
The-
coming up. It's gonna come back
I was
up.
gonna say the
Yeah.
cool thing too is the part of proportionality, because that ties back to that other question. Can you set up a simple proportion?
On that other equation.
Yeah, remember like 8
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
96, what's 14 or something
Yeah.
like that.
Okay.
For each, oh, this is perfect. 2. This
Good.
might be,
Both.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just
both,
gonna use
yeah.
this. Oh, well,
What?
okay, I'm being dramatic right now, but this just makes me
This
want
is
to
good.
cry.
This is fine.
No, but I feel like
Why?
this should be more of what we use in the lesson sometimes. Like, this is what they need.
Yeah.
Just like, there's so much other stuff I feel like they want me to do in Carnegie.
This
if
is
they could have
good.
just done this,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
We're going to stay positive.
Okay.
All right. So,
We're good here?
maybe just 2, though. We don't
Yeah,
need to do a
no,
whole
that's
time.
fine. Think about, yeah, you don't have that. You have 80 minutes, right? Okay.
These are what we pretty much have been doing today. But I don't think they had anything about this. They did have something about when X is in R. So we did today.
So they're not gonna have that.
These are good to maybe use parallel lines. They have one about that, and I think
Okay.
that's going to be one of the challenges. But the biggest challenge is because this is actually so easy. The biggest challenge is going to be the perpendicular.
Okay.
I'm trying to wait to
And
find
then
that.
in the future, I noticed that here, like, you're always giving them the actual word. What would happen if they saw a graph with 2 lines that are? Could they?
What do you notice
describe
about these lines? What do you notice about these equations? They're parallel.
it? You don't say it.
No, but I'm saying that's
Okay,
what I want to
yeah.
hear.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
They're owning the academic
Yeah.
vocabulary. Okay. Okay.
This is what they
What
need.
are we missing from the test? Because I feel like we already have a lot to work with.
This is
over
one.
here. Okay, good. All right, keep going.
This is
All
one.
right, go.
Super easy. We don't even, these are higher level. This is what we need. We're just doing, if it's negative, it's actually just going to shift to the right too. And I can even tie in, what do you notice about these lines?
Exactly. Have them own.
Yeah.
Yeah, that vocabulary. Good job. Good job. Good job.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't need these
Okay.
either. This is might even be that same start. This is that same STAR test question.
It is?
On their exit tickets, remember?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That today? Yeah.
This is the same exact one.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
I figured out what was wrong with Aaliyah's. Why
What
it
is
wasn't working. She has to always make sure does this first. Otherwise, it doesn't know what f of x
That's
is.
right. I forgot about that. You're right. Yeah. A.
So,
yeah.
yeah. I need to
Got
tell her
it.
tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
This is going to be the big piece.
Okay.
And maybe I need to find the ones actually that I think on the test, or you gave me the legit version. On the test, it's not written in standard form. They're both slope intercept. So I need to make sure I hit on those that are slope intercept. So
That one.
maybe even just 1 and 3. Oh, it's getting kind of messy. Yeah, just 1 and
Okay.
3.
Okay.
So one really good strong model. Yeah.
Okay,
I
cool.
I think they'll be able to.
Okay. So then we have
1,000 questions.
1,000 questions. But we have a plan, right? But we got a plan, and we circled, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Just remember that the quick hits are just that. They're quick hits. Okay. So
Yeah.
don't spend too much time on
And the-
proportionality. Don't spend too much time on what was the other one that we identified? Where is it? You have it there.
I think I might also. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Okay. All right. So then these are yours. You're gonna develop your review based
Just really
on.
cut and paste a snip.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. Make your PowerPoint slides, cut and paste the snips, and then so now we're aligned, right? We're aligned. We're setting them up for success based on the actual assessment. Okay.
And I think my one goal this weekend will be to make sure I have a super clear CFS for every single one.
Yes. Yeah. And in the 1, 2, 3 procedural steps is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's still okay. Okay, so I want us to look at one last thing. I printed out the readiness teaks for our item analysis, right? Because this is the module, right? But we want to keep the big picture in mind for STAR, right?
Okay.
So I printed out A2A, I printed out A2C, and then A3B, which are all the readiness standards that
With
you
linear
taught.
stuff.
Yeah, with linear stuff.
That we've taught so far. Sorry,
Yes.
are these? I'm just want to make sure I can throw these away. I think I can. Otherwise,
Okay.
I'll get distracted.
All right, so then we'll go ahead and look at, this will be how we finished today, our limb. So this was the item analysis for question last year, okay? And this one says determine the domain and range. So align to the test that we have?
No,
How is it different?
not fully. It's discrete.
Okay,
I think that's one thing that's different. Yeah. I mean, they can still write an equation or something. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like the ones that we're talking about are continuous, so it is slightly different. But
Okay.
it still does hit at domain and range. But
so then what are you noticing that we definitely is going to come back a lot?
domain and range,
Domain and range, yeah.
which is why gotta find specific times.
And
to
it will,
really-
you'll start connecting.
Okay.
It'll start connecting with the kids, you'll see it. Okay, this one right here.
Oh, sorry.
So it's okay. So what are you noticing from the assessment to this?
This one's very similar.
Very similar.
Yeah, and the inequalities.
So again, we're tackling 3 misconceptions. You had said that domain and range, that they don't know how to develop the equation, and then the biggest struggle is going to be what?
The biggest struggle?
One of the biggest struggles is going to
Oh,
be
the inequalities.
the inequalities, right? The signs right now that they're probably going to not be able to tell you which one's less and which one's greater than.
The one thing I want to make sure that they can definitely do, though, like, this might not sound okay, but right now, because it's still kind of early on, I'm not even totally stressed if they get it wrong. I want to make sure they're not ever choosing the Y for domain, right? Like, I want to slowly build, because I know we will get there.
Yeah.
So it's like, as long as you see domain, you're thinking X, you now have a 50-50 chance.
So right there is
Even if you're just-
a test taking strategy
yeah.
that you can always be consistent with, and they will follow you. They will make sure that, okay, which 2 can I eliminate?
Boom.
Okay, and then the next question I'm gonna ask myself, which is the what? So when you're down to 2, right, that's a test taking strategy. What are you gonna ask them here? What's the next question? And this is from being a high stakes teacher that I've always.
Which one do
So
you think's best?
out of the 2, there's always going to be one that is intentionally put there to do what?
Distract you.
To distract you. So it is your job to find out of the 2, which is the distractor.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Okay. So you can tell them you're already halfway there, but out of the 2, right? You can stay in the
I didn't know that. So one's usually a purposeful distractor,
Yes.
trying to connect it
Yep.
somehow.
Yes.
So like this one, because our domain is the X, and they put the entire thing. That's why they did 14. Because the right answer is B, but they did 14 because it goes. They see 0 to 14. Oh, that's nasty.
Okay. So then when you move forward
Distractor.
now, you're always going to tell, you're already halfway there. Okay. So out of the two, remember that the state does something intentionally that they want to do to you is distract you.
Yeah.
Which one is the distractor? Okay. So then this one is aligned, right, to the test. Over here.
Kind of. It's just we talked about it more at the beginning of the year.
Oh yeah, we did.
And that's
Yeah.
the open,
the
open and close points.
Close points, yeah.
So there's a little bit, but
Okay. Over here, same thing.
the domain and range,
Domain and range.
X is greater than 5.
And here's those, the
Yeah.
greater than and less than, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's gonna be one of the ones that, we have to watch out for. This is the
discrete,
discrete. Over here,
discrete.
discrete. This side, the graph of the linear function.
Again, that I'm trying to really like try to use your X and Y
Yes,
intercepts
try
as
to,
points.
yes. And then when they do that, what are you also gonna tell them about the slope of a line?
What do you notice about the slope of the line?
Yeah, like what do you notice and what are they gonna tell you? What do you always say? Correlation.
What do you mean? It's negative.
Okay, so then they can be a negative, right? So then here we are, right?
Slope has to be negative. Luckily, they are, but not
Yeah,
always.
yeah, always,
Sometimes,
yeah.
sometimes one will be positive. They can
Okay.
eliminate one really quickly. But here, they should know that if it's in slope intercept form, that one of these has to be their y-intercept. So that means they can already cancel these two, right? And then if they notice the interval's 1, and I think a lot of them will start to pick that up, they can just do rise over
Or
run.
run. Yep.
And they don't even have to. But I don't. Yeah. I don't
That's the
say
best.
always,
That
but-
was like the best test taking strategy that I always coached our teachers. Is like they always told the students pick 2 points, pick the 2 points, and pick the 2 best points, and then do the rise or the run, and then identify where the intercept is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then this is gonna respiral. I can tell you that much. What about this one?
Yeah, it's a linear equation.
Okay. So line. Yes.
Yeah, and then we got to start to they got to start to understand that this is a point. This is a point. So
So one of your worst fears right now, right, that you don't want to do one of those questions, right, is going to be on the. It's going to be on the test.
Yeah,
So
no, we'll get
while
there.
we can choose questions in the skills practice for the review. It's going to be on the START test.
Yeah,
Okay. Just wanted to put that on your.
but I think we used one of them, didn't we? With the point, it just was. Maybe
This
we
one
did.
has more.
Maybe
This
we
one
did.
has
Yeah.
the more. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we'll start to pick it up
Okay. This one over here.
again. If
same.
you can identify your y-intercept, you're halfway
Okay.
there.
Here.
Yeah, I mean these are all just linear
Yeah.
equations.
Okay.
That one was standard form, so standard form's a little harder.
Remember. What are you going to ask them about this?
What do they notice?
What do they notice? What do they want to know? See, it's already processing here. Good. See
Yeah,
it right here.
It's decreasing. They should-
Uh-huh. Having a meeting. Okay.
I'm so sorry, but Jeremiah is a hot topic and he's flat. I need before you.
Oh, me?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So listen,
All
we're
right,
gonna wrap
thank
up.
you.
Yeah.
Whenever you finish with her.
Yes.
I'm gonna be
Yeah.
here late.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Will do, ma'am.
Okay. So this one.
Complete this statement describes the rate of change. Now they should know they're talking about their slope. The water level decrease. That I feel like they're all gonna get. They all will get that.
Yeah.
And then the rate 1/4, 1/4.
Okay. Good.
But that one might be harder because it's the fraction. Like
Yes.
they need to know what 1/4. Oh,
Yeah.
I should just tell them. 1 divided by 4.
Yeah, and they can do it on the calculator too, right? They can just plug it in also, and it'll give you them the fraction too. Okay, this one. 3B, calculate the rate
Slope.
of change. Slope.
Yeah.
Okay, slope.
There's a lot of just slopes.
Slopes.
Graph the line represented. Select 2 points. Oh yeah, well that one they just
This one they're gonna actually have to graph the line.
yeah.
Yeah.
But this one should be I shouldn't say easy, but they just need to find their x-intercept, their y-intercept, connect them.
Okay.
I feel like I've seen some questions in the Illuminate Bank too that are like that. So easy.
This one over here.
I'm starting to use x-intercepts or zeros.
Okay,
So they're
good.
starting to
Okay,
get
good.
starting to get really
Same
familiar
thing
with
over
that.
here, right? This is more about what?
This was one of my early homework questions.
That's a good question.
Yeah. Very basic key characteristic.
Key characteristics of
X is negative 2,
of graphs.
8 is y-intercept. So
Yeah, key
C.
characteristics of graphs, right? Okay, over here.
It's a little tricky one there. They have to distribute and then simplify.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I'll notice, because there was one lesson where I think it might have been the same one we observed, something similar. Like students really were struggling with distributing. So many of them, even in my high colleges, they would just do the first one and stop. And so I stopped them, and I'm gonna.
So what is something that you can like guide them when you're doing a strong model? When they see this question, what's the question you're going to ask them?
I mean, I feel like you want me to say, "What do you notice? What do you wonder?"
And what do you notice? What do you wonder? Yeah, that's how it starts, right? Yeah. Okay.
But
And then how are you going to facilitate?
for me, if I was teaching this, I'm gonna be like, well, I know that I have to first distribute.
Okay, hold on. Hold on.
What do I need to do?
Okay, so that.
But like in a model, I can't say that in a model.
What do you notice about this equation?
And I'm gonna say that out loud. And I want them to answer. I want them to not answer.
What do you notice about this equation?
But I'm saying, am I asking them or am I asking myself?
You're asking them, right? Because
And they're
this is-
supposed to give me back.
Yeah, let
Okay.
them shoot out the answers, right? So that you can spar off with the kiddos too, right? And then somebody's gonna say, "Hey, it's not in the what?
It's not inside parentheses.
Or it's not in the sim." You said it earlier.
It's not simplified.
It's not simplified. Okay,
Gotcha.
I bet you.
And they've been taught that before.
Yes.
I just don't know. That's the other thing
Yeah.
about this that's hard is
Yeah.
I don't know what they've
Yeah.
been taught,
Yes,
what
they
they've
have
not been
Simplif-
taught.
Yeah, they have been taught the distributive property. I can tell
Okay.
you that. Yeah.
Okay.
That's 6th grade.
What do you notice? It's not simplified.
Yes.
That's what
Let
I'd be
them
looking for.
answer. Let
Yeah.
them own the vocabulary. Let them own the academic vocabulary. Okay. Last one. Linear functions.
A 0 is your x-intercept. So boom. Y-intercept is 6.
That's all they have to do, right?
Yeah.
Is the key characteristics of the graph, and then they put it together, and
Yeah.
that's it.
This has been nice too because I feel like these are things that we're really getting at.
Yes.
I'm confident they're going to do well in the
They
start.
are. They are, sir. Okay, so when I lim with teachers, I always want to make sure that we have the big goal in mind and how it connects to what we're doing like month to month with
Yeah.
our mid-module assessments or our topic assessments or our end of module assessments. It's got to connect. You
Yeah,
know
there
what I'm
needs to
saying?
be some through point, through line.
Yeah, yep. And then the last thing I want us to do is pull up the frequency distribution. We're gonna look at right now because it's gonna be 2A.
So this is probably the one that, look at that today. They did all right.
We're
I'm
gonna
j-
look at H3C.
That one I'm not totally sure how to get to.
The frequency distribution? Go ahead,
Yeah.
go to lead forward. I'll show you how to get there.
I know it's like I go to
A3B.
resources.
Go to research and then
Accountability?
over here. Where is it? Yeah, accountability. No, data tools. I'm sorry, it's on data,
Data
tools. And you're gonna look for
This frequency.
Yes, you're gonna look for math. And then you're gonna scroll down to your content.
Algebra's always last.
A2A, A3C. Yeah, so we're looking at these teaks right here.
61. It's the biggest one.
Which one?
A2. Wait. A2C. What'd you say? A2A?
A2A.
Oh, A2A. A2A, 3C, 52.
Okay, so write that down. I want you to write that down.
Right here.
Yes, next to it.
52.
And what about A2A?
Oh, I mean, they're all in the same
They're on the
subgroup.
same, okay, yeah, in the same cluster.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
that's the word.
Okay, yes.
Cluster.
Clusters, yes. So then,
Except for 3B. I don't know where 3B is. I just want to see if this works. Oh, right here.
okay.
Yeah.
So how many for
Oh,
3B?
but this is not algebra.
Are we in algebra?
This one would be algebra.
It should be in the.
Oh, there it is.
It should be in the. Same
Yeah, it's
cluster.
right there. I just
Okay,
can't read.
so then now that you know that the frequency of distribution for these in these clusters is 52.
Oh no, 3B is
3B.
3B has 61, so it
Okay.
is in a different cluster.
Okay. So now that you
But
know.
over 100 together.
Okay.
It's a big hitter,
Whew.
huge hitter.
Good job naming it.
And
Good
I
job.
think the biggest thing that I think that we've not tackled at all, it's funny, maybe not funny, but it's interesting to me that it's also going to probably be the most challenging one, which is domain and range. But it's good to know now rather than
Yes.
later.
Okay. All right. So we've taken it from big to small to
Super small.
super small with our review for next week. We have a plan. These are the questions that are definitely aligned to my test that are going to give me the biggest
Bang for my buck.
biggest review for my buck, right? So that we can set up the kiddos for success. And then what is one thing that we talked about also earlier?
Talk about a lot.
Yes, we did.
Just what do you notice? What do you wonder?
What do you notice, what do you
Student
wonder?
accountability or student ownership.
For what?
The heavy lifting,
And
conceptual
the,
learning,
and the, which includes also what?
using key terms,
Using key terms, using the academic vocabulary.
academic vocab.
Okay, so then I'm gonna stop giving them the academic
I'm
vocabulary.
gonna try.
Okay.
I will need to be coached on,
Okay.
like in the moment,
Absolutely.
like just
will
because
do
I
it.
don't even know that I'm doing it sometimes. Like just straight up.
Let
I wanna
them
help
tell you,
so
yes,
much that
let
I do
them
too
tell you.
much.
Yes. Yeah. So they have to be owners of that.
Yeah.
That's the accountable talk. When we start seeing the moments that you give them, like turn and talk, and we start hearing that they're the ones owning the transformation, the dilation, the range, the domain, the everything, the parallel lines. This is my why right here. How do you know? And they're talking to each other. That's the ownership of the students happening, and the collaboration and all the great things that are going to be happening in the space.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds like a
So
plan.
let's wrap up. Good.
I'm feeling really good actually.
Okay. Good. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. If you have any questions for me, let me know how I can support you. Holler
Yes.
at me. I am internalizing over the weekend, so let's get those lesson plans in, and let's go get that lesson plan before the door. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, sir.
All right.
All right. Thank you.